In this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know about changing your flatwounds to roundwounds on a Fender precision bass and the tonal difference between the two. Hey guys, I'm Tyler and you're watching the TJS Bass channel. Now I will put it out there that this is the first time in 82 videos I think it is on my channel that I have failed to hit the record button. So I am doing this retrospectively. I recorded about 30 minutes of content and I got the two demo sections perfectly done and all that stuff and the conclusion, but I forgot to hit record on the biggest section of the video, which was about 40 minutes long before I edited it. But hopefully I can do a very concise and simple version of that and still make this video worthwhile. So I have been using flatwounds on this Fender precision bass for a very long time. I've had this bass for 2 years, but I've had the same set of flatwounds for a longer time than that, and used that on everything from a Dingwall Super P to my Mexican 50s precision bass, and then finally onto this, which is my custom shop 59 precision bass. I really love the P-bass with flatwound sound. The flatwound sound is synonymous with Motown stuff, Jameson, and any of that old school tone. Originally Fender basses came with flatwound strings, so pretty much all the music up until the 70s that you hear is done with flatwound strings. Flatwound strings have a much meatier and much more attack heavy sound, so you get a much more punch and a lot quicker decay, more similar to that of an upright sound, whereas roundwound strings you're going to get a lot more top, so more treble, high mid, and they're going to cut through a mix a little bit differently to a flatwound. The reason I wanted to move away from flatwounds on my precision bass, despite the fact that I've had it strong with them for so long, and I do love the P-bass with flat sound, is that on a few of the recordings that I've done recently, the bass hasn't really just cut through. It's not really punched through in the way that you want a bass to in the mix. It's been kind of a very almost scooped sound, and I do wonder if that's the strings over time losing some of the mid-range presence and really rounding out. So I wanted to get back a little bit more of that mid-range presence. The strings I had on this bass, which were flatwounds, were the D'Addario 110 to 50, so they're heavy gauge flatwound strings. And those are the strings you'll hear in any of the flatwound clips on this video. And then what I've replaced them with are these, which are the Dunlop nickel plated heavy gauge strings as well, so that's 110 to 50 again. The reason I went with another heavy set is because I want to be able to replicate that flatwound sound whilst retaining the option to have a bit more cut and grind and mid-range presence. One thing I will say is that I normally use super bright strings, and these are designed to have a more focused mid-range and still have that same low tension that I love about Dunlop strings. So if you like low tension strings, definitely give Dunlop strings a look. So this move is primarily one of versatility. I want to be able to use this bass in a much broader range of contexts, and at the minute I have my Warwick Star bass strung with flatwound strings still. I definitely wouldn't want to not have one of my basses with flatwound strings, but I think the options for this bass to be used could be opened up a lot more by putting these roundwounds on it. The first thing I noticed about these Dunlop strings when I put them on was that they were a lot more mid-range heavy. They really brought the mid-range straight up and gave that kind of classic P-bass mid-range sound, where the D'Addarios had started to scoop. I think one of the things that's interesting is that D'Addarios started to get compliments from people when they were soloed, which for me I think is a sign that maybe it's not quite right. A lot of the time the sounds that sound really good on their own don't work in a mix, and that was also what I was finding with those strings. I think the fact that I've gone with a heavy gauge on these roundwound strings has kept a similar feel. So the flatwound strings were a bit more tense to me, and I've still got that same feel, which is going to not change the way I play particularly too much, just change the tone. One of the things I do in the tone demo is to use this, which is a piece of foam under the bridge on the roundwound sections, and that is just to give it that similar attack to a flatwound. I think that it does a pretty good approximation, but the strings are fundamentally too bright at this stage to be like flatwounds. but I do think overall that there's not too much velocity in the low end from the switch to roundwounds, and that there is definitely more attack and punch. So overall, if you play older styles of music and you don't like particularly bright treble, and you want a really smooth sound, as well as a really great smooth feel, definitely consider putting flatwounds on your precision bass, or any bass for that matter. I actually happen to think that flatwounds sound really good on a jazz bass, but not many people choose to do that. But if you're into more modern styles and want a bit more versatility, definitely consider keeping roundwounds on there, and carrying around a piece of foam with you to be able to do both. My ideal choice would be to have both, so I'd have a precision bass strung with rounds and a precision bass strung with flats. At the minute that seems a bit excessive for me, but I would definitely be doing that at some point in the future. So without any further ado, I'm going to leave you with the tone demos. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's been useful to you. In future I will remember to hit the record button. This might be slightly out of chronology compared to my usual content, but it's just a one-off. So check out my other content and the way I do my demos in general, for a thorough review of any bass gear that you happen to want. If there's anything you want to know, put that in the comments below, and any videos that you want done in the near future, put that in the comments too. So here are those demos, and hopefully this will show you everything you need to know about flatwounds versus roundwounds, and I'll see you in another video soon. Thank you so much for watching.